part of what we can do and need to do on behalf of our clients is pace ourselves and help them to pace their work to bring more sustainability and thoughtfulness and not always respond to the stimulus.
Things that are joyful to practice and see, like, what can I do though? Like, what is that limit? How can I keep pushing it?
Your growth edge.
My growth edge.
Break it down. Work it out. We're breaking
step, break it down, break it down. I didn't know we were auditioning different songs, but I'm here for it.
We are. Yes. Okay.
I'm
Welcome to the breakdown, everybody. In this episode, Karen and MaryAnn are diving into Ashton Theiss's episode.
Yeah.
So Karen, take it away.
Let me take it away. So much to unpack, so many delightful things here. From the get-go, I think in the very beginning, you and Ashton were talking about how she approached launching this business. And one thing that really resonated for me was how she differentiated herself. So kind of looking to come into this space and seeing how others were marketing and looking at it as maybe a little, I can't remember if she used the word stodgy or antiquated, but that's what's coming to mind. Sorry. And rather than saying, okay, maybe I need to fit that mold, even though that doesn't feel right for me, she really looked at this and said, all right, what do I want this to look like? And what is authentic for me? And that became a big differentiator for her, right? So leaning into this idea of authenticity and how do I want to market sometimes you need to be brave sometimes to say, I'm not going to do it that way, that these trusted folks in this space and successful people are doing it. I'm going to go this way over here. That takes a level of boldness. And I love that she did that and saw the results, right? Yep. That living in that authentic space also equaled success for her business.
Absolutely. Guess Ashton's Enneagram.
Oh no. Guess Ashton's Enneagram.
It's a fun game, and it can.
I'm like, there's always seeing it's her Enneagram. I'm picturing like a Wheel of Fortune. I feel like I could go different ways here.
I'm going to give you a hint.
Yeah,
you're sometimes confused as this.
1, 3,
no,
8.
Yes,
I'm not confused. I was thinking you meant like my wing. My wing.
Sometimes people might identify an aggressive.
Sometimes you're confused with this. What she meant to say is when you're under stress and when you're in a mood, you're like you just lean into your 8-ness. And it's who I do.
Yes. Yeah.
When I have no tolerance for BS, I'm usually
in
my
power position. It is a power position.
And it's a place of confidence, right? So her 8-ness was just like, I don't care what they're doing.
Under there. Yes.
And it worked for her.
This is what's happening.
Yeah.
Thanks for bringing that out.
I love that. I'm laughing at myself because I was literally picturing like a wheel going around like tick, 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 tick. You're like, where's it stopping? Like if I close my eyes, I was going to get there. All right. Well, that's awesome. One of the questions you asked, and I can't remember if you said it this way, it was around like, what risky leap have you taken? And I'm like, I don't know if I've ever heard the phrase risky leap before, but I'm very here for it. And she talked about like just stepping out on my own, right? Great answer. But what I really loved was her saying like, I didn't know what I didn't know. And so I was just like, I'm going to do this and I don't know. And it wasn't perfect, right? And she referenced bringing you in and saying like, hey, I need help and raising a hand. And what I immediately thought about was, because, not every business, solo or otherwise, when you start out is successful. How many people reach that point and say of like, I don't know what I'm doing, and have the confidence in themselves and their ability to ultimately do it, that they could say, I'm going to ask for help, versus saying, I don't know what I'm doing, so maybe this means I'm not meant to do this, and they throw in the towel.
Yes. And sometimes it's, you get to the end of what you do know and you think, okay, well, exactly to your point, this is telling me I should quit, or I'm not cut out for this, or I'm not meant to do it. No. It just means that there is more that you need to learn, or there's additional resources that you need to access. It's a part of the growth.
Yes. And it was just like, oh my gosh, how many times do any of us think of something as like, this is a sign, this is a message from the universe? And, maybe it is, but we're misinterpreting the message.
Yeah.
Right? The message to Ashton was like, ask for help, get help
Yeah.
on the pieces that you need to grow that will make you stronger, not shut it down.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we're more willing to do that when we are fully committed,
Yeah.
right? Once we've reached that point of full commitment, I'm not turning back. So therefore, I will amass the resources required to get there.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of like burn the boats. I burned the boats, so we're gonna make it work on this here island, folks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Well, it's funny now that you told me her Enneagram, I'm like, oh, it's all making sense, right? That confidence of like, I'm doing this, like I will be able to make it happen. And this is just the next step in the process versus I'm shutting it down. It wasn't meant to
Yep.
be.
Yep.
And just thinking of like at the time, maybe, right? She might not have looked at that as a critical moment, right? Of, oh, you're at a crossroads and I'm choosing this path, not this path. But looking back at her story, I look at that and go like, oh my gosh, what a pivotal moment to decide to say, I am going to bring in an expert. I am going to build the pieces that I don't know, and I am going to do this thing and make it happen.
Yeah. And look at her now.
I
Look at her go.
I gave myself
Mhm.
chills again. I had chills the first time, and I just gave either that or it was cold in here. I don't know, but like I
There
just
you
got
go.
chills talking about that.
It's neat.
Love that.
And that's what we want is people to get chills, be inspired, think, why not me? Why not
Right.
me?
Why not? Yes, right? If this person can, why not me? Because I think one of these things that we're hearing kind of thematically as we talk to these different folks and I mean, amazing, driven, awesome people, right? For sure. But it's not so uniquely that they had this special thing that nobody else can do, right? And I say that and not minimizing their work, but to say there's accessibility for other folks who might feel like they have it in them as well.
Absolutely. That's right.
You have it.
We all have our own magic.
You have it too. We all have our own magic. We all have our own magic to make. And I love, as we're talking about this and you kind of putting yourself in that seat and being like, yes, getting to the edge of that comfort zone and then just saying like, and now I need to, I hit the edge of the road and that just means we need to pave some more people, right? We're
Exactly.
gonna pave more road and you having had that experience, right?
Yeah.
In your business.
Okay, hang on. What's that quote from Back to the Future?
Which one?
And it's at the end and it says something like, Marty, where we're going, there are no roads.
Oh, this hurts because we're gonna mess this up so bad. Like, we don't need roads.
Yeah. Something like that.
Every movie buff from the 80s right now
Is dying.
message us, comment, feel free, tell us if we screwed it up. And I'm such a movie person that this is hurting me that I'm not getting it right. Like I feel like a personal failure that I'm not ready in this moment. I think it's we don't need roads. And then he puts the glasses on and they fly off.
He says, roads where we're going, we don't need roads.
We don't need roads. Yes.
Yeah.
And now that's when
Blessed
right
right now.
how old we are.
That's right.
No, just kidding.
Yeah.
We saw it later, much later.
I saw it. I think it's the first movie I remember seeing in the theater.
That's a fun game to play. We should play that sometime. What's the first movie you remember seeing in the theater? I have a couple.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if one's in actual memory, but one I know it's Labyrinth.
Oh, never even seen that.
Okay. We don't have enough time. We're going to talk about that later.
Yeah.
Never. Yeah. David Bowick's finest. Okay. I digress. Back to the topic at hand, not being movies. One, and I'll send you a link to Labyrinth. One of the other things that you talked about was this identity shift. Like, what identity shifts did you have to go through? And I really loved the way that Ashton articulated this because she said something along the lines of, I've always seen myself as a leader. I've always been a mentor. But what I needed to do was figure out the structure of how to be an organizational leader.
Absolutely.
And just the differentiation between those things and that ability to I love humility. I love the people who could just be like very honest with us, right? But to say, yeah, I've always been a leader and I'd always been mentoring folks, but to lead at an organizational level is just a different skill set that I recognized that I needed. And then what did I need to do to step into that?
Yep. Well, and when
Mhm.
your genius, like for her, came from being ridiculously independent, ridiculously competent, it feels like incompetence to hand things over. And that's, in the episode, she brought up the one of the biggest learnings being, we talk about only do what only you can do. I had to say that over and over and over and over until it finally sunk in for her. And she would say, well, they can't I'm like, what can only Ashton do?
Yeah.
Because when you're a person who can do everything,
Mhm.
she can do almost anything well.
Right.
It is really hard to, and then think about the eightness around power and control.
Yeah. Oh, right. I would know
And the
nothing about that. Right. Yeah. Of just this, like,
and the
I want it done
confidence,
my way. Hmm.
right, and that, let's face the fact that a lot of things people will not do to the level, Ashton, that you can do it.
Right.
And so what matters that it be done to that level and what doesn't? The stuff that it really matters, that if it's done Ashton's way or to that level, that's what you keep.
Yep.
But 80% of the stuff, it doesn't need to be.
Yes. How many times do we get stuck in this idea of doing it the right way? It needs to be done the right way, which is obviously the way I do it, versus opening, yeah, but like opening yourself up to the idea that somebody else might take a different approach and it might be better. It might be different, but arrive, they're taking a different a path to get there. And that's a lot of with people when people are struggling with delegation, those are a lot of the things that we're talking about is delegation is not like I'm going to stand over your desk and make sure you do it the exact way that I did it because our brains operate differently, right? It's the spirit of getting to the goal. What do you care how they get to the goal as long as they're efficient with it, right? And they're not cutting corners, things like that, that they
Right.
shouldn't cut. But it's not that everybody does their work in the shape of the way that I do the work, and then I'm holding these reins so tightly to make sure that that happens.
Yeah.
Or doing everything myself, right? I love that idea of just because you can doesn't mean you should,
Mhm.
you know?
Yep.
And when you talk to people about seeking to up level in their careers, it's a lot of times we're talking about, working at the top of your skill set, doing work that is continuing to grow you and challenge you. And that just because there's work that you can do, if it's work that you could do 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you might find yourself bored because you don't want to do that anymore, even though
Right.
you're really good at it, right? And that kind of disconnect between everybody tells me I'm so amazing and I'm doing such a great job, but I don't feel personally fulfilled because I'm not working at that top level and I am not
Right.
continuing to grow and push. So, yeah,
Yep.
just love, love all of that. And the
Sure.
had to be an organizational leader, right? It
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of, we talk about this all the time, right? You promote the really strong doer, the individual contributor, right? They're so great at it. They're amazing at the job. And then we promote them and make them a manager and just immediately expect them to be great at that when it's a
Right.
totally different skill set.
It's
Why,
completely
why
different.
do we ever think that it's just going to translate and you're just going to step in day one? It's
Yep.
totally different. A lot of times without the support you need. I have such a heart for new leaders because of that very thing,
Yep.
you know?
Yep. And it's another translation of people thinking everyone should have soft skills, right?
Wouldn't it be great?
On the individual, like when you graduate from college, you should be a good communicator. You should do all these things. You should know how to dress. You should, and
Yeah,
some
we're
people
shitting all over them again, aren't we?
getting all over them. Some people pay attention or they're empaths or they learn that or they were taught that by their families or whatever
Right.
else. And but it doesn't serve us very well sitting inside the organization saying you should know something. If they don't know it,
Right.
they don't know it. And so how are we going to equip people?
Right. Or just assuming like, oh, this translates. So you just get in there and figure it out and not providing that support. And then people thinking, oh gosh, I should know what I'm doing. Why?
Hmm. Right.
A lot of times what they end up doing is just modeling what they've seen before. So in organizations where if we don't have strong leaders or the leaders maybe aren't, it comes to soft skills and things like that, that they're not demonstrating the behaviors that we want to see, we have
Yep.
the perpetuation of that. right?
Mhm.
Which is just
Well, it comes back to what's possible too.
yeah.
People emulate what they've seen. So there's not a conversation or a question around what's possible. It's not you don't know what you don't know.
Oh, totally. And it's fascinating, right? Because the things that is this like parenting, but the work version, right? The things that you didn't necessarily enjoy as a direct report, you suddenly think that's what you're supposed to do as a manager. So you're maybe doing to others what you never appreciated,
Yep.
from a leader above you, right? And then it's this whole cycle. You could
Oh,
spend all day just on this.
True.
So all day. From a delegation perspective, loved this little nugget. Do not make something urgent that is not urgent.
Mm,
And sorry, I said delegation. I meant more from a work management and a boundaries
yeah.
perspective is what I should have said.
Mm-hmm.
For yourself and for your team members. So
Yep.
this idea of, and Ashton seems like a real go-getter, right? So somebody who's like hungry, likes to work, likes to do all these things, and recognizing that we say it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? So sometimes we have to shut off and consciously shut off from saying, I could respond to that email, but I'm not going to. I
Right.
could respond to that text, but I'm not going to. Just because this person asked in that moment doesn't mean that it really is urgent. And differentiating between the things that really, truly have some urgency that need to be done versus it's in my inbox and I just want to move it out.
Hey, noticers, if you're dreaming of glowing, healthy skin, you must try Hana Azul Korean skincare. Myung Chong has been transforming skin for 27 years with facials so good, they create the Hana Azul glow. I've been going to her med spa for years, and my skin looks better than ever. Her products use medical-grade ingredients that truly nourish your skin and keep it radiant. Visit hennaazul.com to explore her amazing products and services. That's HANNAISUL.com. Now go get your glow. We have this conversation almost every day about either externally imposed or self-imposed deadlines. And we're talking about a training or a group that we need to convene with one of our clients. And I tend to make everything urgent. And that's been a strength of mine over the course of my life is a strong sense of urgency that people appreciate and I get things done and I move things forward. But you will ask the question, is that really necessary? And then we were able to talk through, okay, I'm triggered by wanting to show up in this particular way in support of the client because of several different reasons. And you are able to hold space and say, yeah, but part of what we can do and need to do on behalf of our clients is pace ourselves and help them to pace their work to bring more sustainability and thoughtfulness and not always respond to the stimulus.
Right, right. Who's asking for this week anyway, right? Like, and you know what I love about that conversation earlier is I love that you have the language to process in the moment to be like, okay, here's where I'm getting triggered. This is what's coming up for me, right? So we're talking about the experience versus just
Mhm.
the reaction. So you're kind of sitting as I'm the person experiencing this and I'm the observer who's talking to you about how I'm experiencing this and taking a step back. Which is helpful to me too, right?
Mhm.
So if we're not on the same page or we're not instantly going like, yeah, we agree, that I'm understanding where that's coming from. And that's such a great example because it's more of a learned behavior for me as well to
Yeah.
say like, ooh, I think we should deprioritize this versus,
Mhm.
my habits of origin would be like, we will do it unless I'm dead and then I'll keep going. I will come back from the dead and get it done on deadline, right? Like it's only a
Yeah.
flesh wound, right? Like
Yeah.
I will sacrifice and sacrifice and sacrifice. So I continue to practice the like, ooh,
Mhm.
should we do that? And then when somebody else questions it, it can be hard. I have to really sit in it to say like, okay, don't just back off, right? Like
Mhm.
continue to talk through it. So I love that because it gave us both an opportunity to practice having that experience and working on the things we're working on.
Yep. Yeah, it's huge. It's huge and a practice.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And I love that we can do that together,
Yes.
right? That we have that safe space here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's important.
Yes. And there's usually dancing involved.
That's right. Dancing and safe space.
Dancing and safe space. That's what we bring. You also talked a bit about when you're an entrepreneur and when you're just starting out, everything feels like a big deal. Just this idea of like everything is huge, everything is, what does this mean? And making bigger meaning of it. And I thought that was really, really fascinating to get that perspective of, because not everyone has sat in that seat, but hear that perspective and that wisdom of like, you kind of build that muscle. And her talking about coaching new, I'm going to get the producers on her team. Is that the right word? Producers?
Agents, producers.
Agents, producers. Like producers, but not in the media way, but agents and producers on her team around that as they're learning, growing, and building to say there are things that feel huge the first time you experience them that I don't want to say you get desensitized to, but you put the reps in and they're not as scary, or you approach them in a different way. You don't feel them to the same effect. And I just thought that was just so fascinating and such good, like, if you're an entrepreneur in that space right now, lean in because girl was dropping wisdom.
That's right. Absolutely. And the sense, because I'm going back to the subject object conversation.
Yeah.
Here, right? That the thing that is such a big deal when I'm doing it for the first time is big. My perspective is changing because something new is happening. And then it starts to shift where that becomes the thing that is typical now.
Yeah.
And something else shifts in
Something else becomes the new thing. And that's
that we've now leveled up, right? Because this thing that was the new thing now is supporting me being able to do the next new thing.
Yes.
And so that's what's forming this cycle. And then your body is more habituated to, I'm always doing something new.
Yes.
And that takes me back to the imagery of American Ninja Warrior doing grabbing the bar and jumping it up and then pulling the body up and then grabbing the bar and jumping. That's continually like, I'm grabbing onto this new experience, I'm mastering it, and then I'm reaching for the next one.
Yes. I love that. And I loved your rave hands when you were doing the system.
Yeah, those totally were rave hands. Or I don't think normally
we need those. Well, and you were making me think of, if we think about this from like a physical level and coaching our kids through things, my oldest daughter does gymnastics, right? And so they're constantly learning new skills. And it's like a good reminder for her, and it applies here too. Everything that you have mastered, that you have gotten good at, was a process to get there. And yet every time we bump up on a new skill that we can't do immediately, right, is kind of you're going through that journey again. And it's a reminder, look, history shows us that when you keep at it and you continue to practice, you improve and ultimately even master. Yeah. And the thing that you do in your sleep right now, back handspring, was once upon a time a thing that you struggled to do. And now it's just like we're handspringing all over the place. So it's that kind of, that reminder for her to say, you've got like a mental block, right? You were gonna master this. We're gonna put the reps in. You're gonna keep practicing, and you're gonna get there. And having confidence in looking at the road that you've traveled already to say, history shows me that I'm going to get there.
Yeah. Well, and it's in practice. One of our quotes from Optimal Leadership: the purpose of life is to be defeated by greater and greater things.
I love that one. I love that one.
Right. And for McKenna, it's back handspring, or is it Piper?
It's McKenna, and like back handspring is like nothing now, right? But it's the next, what is the next thing in the next skill? Like that means
for Margot. Yeah. Margot is roller skates. It's roller skating. Hogan, it's the back bend into the walkover. I don't even know.
Yeah, where you like go back.
Yes.
Back walkover.
And it seems impossible. And then 2 times ago, he went to gymnastics. It was impossible. He kept practicing. His body got warmer. He kept practicing, and all of a sudden did it. And then it's like he can't not do it.
Yes.
Right. And that's how it happens for us.
Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. Like their little bodies, like this is a joy of being a parent too. But like when you see them, like when something clicks, roller skating is a fun one, because it's just like, how do you explain roller skating and ice skating to a small, I'm just like, you just kind of, You gotta hold your weight differently. Like I could probably explain it better to an adult, but for a kid, it's tough. And then they keep at it and they keep at it and they fall and all these things. And then at some point, there's this magic that happens when the body just gets it.
Yep.
And they're doing it. And it's the face lights up like, I'm doing it, and it's just, it's so cool. And as kids, we're so much better. I think a lot of times about trusting that if we keep doing it, everybody around me is roller skating. I think if I keep working on this, I can stay up on those skates too and without the skate meat. But as adults, we can be so quick to be like, it's not for me. I can't do it. Whatever the thing is, whether it's physical or whatever. And how much of that is mindset?
Right. Absolutely. When do we stop allowing ourselves to fail? When do we stop attempting to do things that we know we won't succeed in the first few tries?
Yeah.
I don't know the exact answer, but I'm
when. I know. I'm like, when and why? And even the joy in the journey. Like, there's a lot of things. Like, there's so many things I'm bad at, but like, there's a lot of things that I do that because I enjoy them, not because I'm going to master them, right, at a professional level, right? If I think about hobbies and things like that, but just really discovering the joy in the journey and the joy of being a learner. And just, there's some things that are just joyful to practice. I'm not turning back handsprings at this age, right? But like things that are joyful to practice and see, like, what can I do though? Like, what is that limit? How can I keep pushing it?
Your growth edge.
My growth edge. I know. I was thinking, okay, this is like totally random, but like on the way over here, I was like, I think I want to have a roller skating party for my birthday. My kids never want to have roller skating parties. And it's like, I like roller skating. And I think I should have a roller skating party. And I think people should be able to come and bring their kids and we'll all roller skate together. And if you don't want to skate, you don't have to.
I'm coming.
Oh my gosh, you're totally invited. And here's the thing you need to know about me. And MaryAnn, you may or may not know this actually. How many years ago now? I don't even know. 4 years ago, maybe. Fun fact about me is I broke my elbow roller skating.
Oh, I did not know this.
Yes. We are totally tangential now, but I'll just share with like I hadn't roller skated in a really long time, like since I was a kid, but I always loved roller skating. During COVID, I bought roller skates and roller skated around my downstairs before I redid my floors because I was like, I'm gonna get rid of these floors anyway. And then I did like a roller skating girls' night. And I got a little too confident and I tripped on my skate and landed wrong. And my arm was underneath me. I skated for another 45 minutes. That's part of the lure.
As you should.
As one, through the pain. It's great.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I broke my elbow and I would say it's up there for my painful experiences. I will put this in the top 2.
Wow.
Right behind natural childbirth.
Exactly.
Right. But after that, it was like, I have skated since then and people are like, you're going to keep skating even though you broke her. And I was like, well, number one, what are the chances of that happening twice? Things you should never say. But yes, because I love skating and I can learn from that experience and I can tweak what I'm doing, but I still find joy in the activity, even though, there's certain things that maybe I don't have the skill for anymore. I need to work on, or I need to be more thoughtful. And Kyle's like, wear a helmet at least. I'm like,
oh, elbow pads.
Elbow pads, highly recommend. Yeah, elbow pads. I think I would like all full, like put on the roller derby gear and let's do this. But just this idea of, is that one of the ways that we stop ourselves because we have some sort of negative experience and then that turns into, I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yes, I'm freaked out and I'm not going to sit into this. Side note, I do think the wrist pads are the most effective. I think if you wear a wrist pad, you don't necessarily need the knee or the elbow because you will fall on your wrist, but you'll be protected. That's been my experience.
That's a great thought. And I think, for this particular experience, I do not recommend, but if you fly through the air, my friend literally saw me, I think I arced, and then your arm somehow crumples beneath you. I mean, I wish I had it on video. And I love that my daughter, when I came home and told her this, was like, why didn't you safety roll? Because apparently that's what they learn in gymnastics is like you learn how to fall. So this is why I needed Aikido. I needed the art of falling.
Yep. You did.
And if I knew Aikido, I would have just like been fine and popped back up.
And you would have gotten up in a non-judgmental stance.
And used my momentum to create something beautiful.
And then like done it elongated. Yes. Like leg extension.
Yeah. However we got here. But anyway, roller skating party, you'll be invited. It'll be super fun and continuing to find joy in the journey.
Yes. And being defeated by greater and greater things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Please, if you're not already doing it, what are the greater and greater things that you're going to be defeated by? Like,
That's right.
do it.
Absolutely.
Do it.
Final closing words about Ashton. Anything we missed?
I mean, if I have time, I'll do one more. There was a point where y'all were talking about public recognition. And I think one of the things she said was like, don't shy away from it, right? So be mindful and take a moment to celebrate those wins versus just moving towards the next thing and the next thing. So taking a moment. And I loved, I don't think this is what she said necessarily, but this is what I got from it, was this idea of keeping it in perspective. So it's like, we're not chasing accolades to chase accolades because we need all the validation. At the same time, like, if there are accolades that we should be putting the business in for and that are going to benefit the business, why would we not do that? And then finding opportunities to celebrate individuals within the business and how important that is. And so I just loved that she brought that up and shared that perspective, because that's, not necessarily things that we're always thinking about. And I was just like, I love that. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So yeah. And then I don't know if this is the first time you did this, but I was just like, ooh, this is the first one within the series that I was going back to today where you were talking about mindset, value, daily habit. So that's just a shout out to like, ooh, this was part of the original impetus of asking the key questions of your guests. And so I was just like, oh my goodness.
Yes. I think
where it started.
The first time we did mindset, value, practice, I think. And since then,
mindset, value, daily habit, I think was the one that you did with her. So it was like, it was the original version. And I love the evolution.
Yes. And now we're asking mindset or value, book, and daily practice. So I like that.
I love hearing that. I love hearing
we're
this.
Always getting better. Yeah. And hearing what's inspiring people.
Yes, for sure.
Love it.
So great conversation. We could have broken this one down for hours. I was having a blast.
We could. I know. I love it. Well, thanks for joining, Karen. And thank you, everybody. Yes, for joining us for The Breakdown, where we chronicle and deeply dive into episodes of inner work. And thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.